Hello there. Got a different book for you this time. This one's Spider's Big Match. And I hope you enjoy it. It's about one of my favourite sports, which is football. So, hope you enjoy it and see if you can recognise what Spider's special talent really is. Chapter 1. Spider McDrew was a hopeless case. Everyone said so. His mother said it every morning when Spider came down to breakfast wearing one blue sock and one orange sock, or his jumper on back to the front. "Oh, Spider," she said, shaking her head sadly, "you're a hopeless case." Mr Smithers, his teacher at Parkfield School, said it too, whenever he asked Spider a question and Spider got the wrong answer. "What's 5 times 6, Spider?" 94 million, sir." "What's the capital of France, Spider?" "The Atlantic Ocean, sir." Spider McDrew, you're a hopeless case. It wasn't that Spider was stupid. He knew that 5 times 6 is 30, and he knew that the capital of France is Paris. It was just that his mind wandered, and he was always one step behind everyone else. One moment, he was sitting listening to Mr Smithers, and then it was as if a bee came buzzing by, and suddenly he was thinking about something else completely. The answers he gave to questions that Mr Smithers had asked a long time before. How many miles is the sun from Earth? What ocean separates Europe from America? The children in his class thought Spider was hopeless too. He was always messing up on the playground games. "You're it, Spider," said Darren Kelly when they were playing tag. Spider frowned. Then he took a step forward. "What's the time, Mr Wolf?" he cried. The children groaned. "We're not playing that game anymore, Spider," said Jason Best. "You're hopeless, Spider," said Kit Keen. The children didn't ask Spider to play anymore. At break time, he just wandered around the playground in a world of his own, daydreaming. He looked a real sight too. His clothes were a mess, his shoes were scuffed, and his coal black hair sprouted wildly from his head like the leaves of a spider plant. That's why his nickname was Spider. His real name was Spencer, but hardly anyone called him that. Even his mother called him Spider most of the time. He was Spider McDrew, the hopeless case. Now, if you can see him there. Chapter 2. Parkfield was only a small village school, but it had a very good football team. In fact, with just one match left to play, Parkfield was top of the league. "All we need is to draw our last game against Stoneleigh and we'll be champions," Mr Smithers had told his team. "But if Stoneleigh win, then they'll be the champions." It was a very important match. "Don't worry, sir, we'll win," said Neil, Dead-Eye Phillips, Parkfield's ace striker and captain. "Yeah, we'll destroy them," snarled Darren Kelly. He punched the air and made loud destroying noises. "Roar!" "Darren," said Mr Smithers, "it's a football match, not World War III. Everyone was excited about the match, even girls like Emma Flowers and Hannah Stewart, who hated football. "I'm sure we'll win, and so's Barbie," said Hannah Stewart. Barbie was Hannah Stewart's favourite toy. "Snuggles is sure we'll win too. He says we'll win for love," says Emma Flowers. Snuggles was Emma Flowers' new pet, a golden brown and white guinea pig, which she loved very much. Spider was very excited about the match too, even though he wasn't in the team. Then, the day before the match, disaster struck. Chickenpox hit Parkfield. One by one, the football team broke out in rashes and spots. Kip Keane, Matthew Jones, Vibhushan Patel, Neil Phillips. As each was sent home by Mr Smithers, he had to call up a reserve to take his place. But by the end of the afternoon, Mr Smithers still needed one more player. "My brother's brilliant," Darren Kelly suggested. "He's top scorer for his school." "That's very good, Darren," said Mr Smithers, "but we can only choose children who go to Parkfield. I think your brother's a bit too old for our team too, don't you?" Darren Kelly's brother was 14. "We could play a man short," said Jason Best, who was the team captain now that Neil Phillips had chickenpox. "Teams play better with only 10 men. Gary Lineker said so." Said Mr Smithers. "That's very interesting, Jason, but I think we have to start the match with a full team." He looked around the class, and with a heavy heart, he had no other choice. "Who do you think's going to have to play?" "Spider." "Spider, you're going to have to play." Spider was delighted. He smiled like he'd never smiled before. "I won't let you down, sir," he said. "Oh." But what he would do, no one ever knew, for at that moment his mind wandered. Mr Smithers shrugged his shoulders and sighed. What do you reckon he's actually thinking here that he's going to do? Yeah, I think he thinks he might win. Chapter 3. On the way home, Spider happily kicked stones along the pavement. He was in the football team. Spider McDrew. He jumped and waved his arms in the air as if he'd scored a goal, just like he'd seen Neil Phillips do. Then bump. He slipped on some wet leaves and fell on his bottom. And at the same time, his mind wandered from football to nature. "I wonder if leaves have feelings," he thought, as he picked himself up. He was very careful not to tread on any, just in case. Spider was almost home when he saw a ball on the path in front of him. Without thinking, he kicked at it. He aimed a straight kick. But instead, he kicked across the ball, and he watched in surprise as the ball curved round just like a banana. Through the air it soared, across the road, and wham! Straight into his mother's best potted geranium. Oh no, don't think she's going to be very happy. Crash! Smash! The flower pot tipped over and broke on the concrete path. The front door opened and his mother appeared. She looked very angry. "Spider!" she cried. "Whatever do you think you're doing?" Spider was very sorry. He helped his mum pick up the pieces of broken flower pot and tried to explain what had happened. Luckily, the geranium wasn't damaged. Mum scooped it up gently and put it into another pot. "You really must be more careful, Spider," she said. "If you want to play football, go to the park." "Yes, Mum," said Spider. Then he remembered about the big match. "Mum," he said, "I'm in the football team." Spider's mum could hardly believe her ears. She nearly dropped the new flower pot. "That's wonderful," she said. And Spider told his mum the whole story. "It's lucky you've had chickenpox," she said. "Will you come and watch me play?" Spider asked. "I wouldn't miss it for the world," said Spider's mum. She gave Spider a kiss. "I'll leave work early, but I might not get there for the start." "That's okay, Mum. Thanks," said Spider happily. Spider's mum ruffled his hair so it looked even more sprouty than usual. "I'll expect you to score a goal, of course," she said. "Spider, Spider." Spider looked at her blankly because he wasn't thinking about football anymore. "Mum, do leaves have feelings?" he asked. Spider's mum shook her head and smiled. "You're a hopeless case, Spider McDrew," she laughed. Chapter 4. The next afternoon, when Spider stood waiting for the kick-off, he felt very nervous. He so wanted to do well that his stomach was aflutter with butterflies. Lots of parents had come to see the match, but Spider couldn't see his mum. "Come on, Stoneleigh!" shouted the Stoneleigh parents. "Come on, Parkfield!" shouted the Parkfield parents. Mr Smithers blew his whistle. The game was on. For most of the first half, Stoneleigh were on the attack. The play was all in the Parkfield half, and Spider hardly got a kick. He watched as the Stoneleigh striker hit a terrific shot that soared towards the top corner of the net. It looked like a goal all the way. But no, the Parkfield goalkeeper, Jack Smith, sprang like a cat through the air and turned the ball around the post. Look, you can see him there. "Great save!" the crowd cried. "Jason Best!" waved Spider. "Everyone back for the corner!" he called. "Spider, come on!" shouted Darren Kelly. Spider ran back really quickly. "Stand in the goal mouth! By that post, Spider!" Jason ordered. The corner came over. The Stoneleigh striker rose highest and headed the ball. It looped across the goal, over the hands of Jack Smith, towards Spider on the goal line. "Get it away, Spider!" his teammates shouted. But Spider was still thinking about Jack Smith's brilliant save, and instead of heading the ball, he dived and pushed it around the post with his hand. Oh no. Look. "Penalty!" Mr Smithers blew his whistle and pointed to the penalty spot. The Stoneleigh striker stepped forward and wham! The ball flew into the Parkfield net. Stoneleigh were in the lead. The Stoneleigh players and supporters jumped for joy. The Parkfield players and supporters just groaned. Spider hung his head in shame. He'd let the whole school down. He was glad his mum hadn't arrived. When the half-time whistle blew, he just wanted to run away and hide, but Mr Smithers called the whole team around and gave them a stern talking to. "You're giving the ball away too much," he said. "You've got to think more and try harder." Spider waited for the teacher to tell him he was a hopeless case for what he'd done. But Mr Smithers didn't say anything about the penalty. As the players lined up for the second half kick-off, he put his hand on Spider's shoulder. "Don't let your head drop, lad," he said. "Just do your best." Those few kind words had a massive effect on Spider. He went out for the second half with a new heart and determination. Chapter 5. Straight from the kick-off, Parkfield went for the attack. They passed the ball around carefully, waiting for an opening. Spider played his part, running hard and not giving the ball away once. Parkfield got a corner and another and had lots of shots. They hit the bar and the post, but still a goal wouldn't come. Then with 10 minutes left, Jason Best burst through the Stoneleigh defence, and as the goalkeeper came out, he chipped the ball beautifully straight over the bar. "Great try!" shouted the Parkfield crowd. The next time Spider got the ball, he kept it instead of passing. He turned past one defender, nutmegged the second, pushing the ball between his legs, and skipped over the tackle of a third. Look, Spider's going for it. The Parkfield crowd bayed with excitement as Spider swerved past the last defender and sent the Stoneleigh goalkeeper tumbling into the mud. The goal was at Spider's mercy. No one could catch him. "Shoot!" cried the crowd. With great care, Spider drew back his foot and chipped the ball just over the bar, exactly as his captain had done. For a moment, there was a shocked silence. The players of both sides stood shock still, boggle-eyed. The crowd lost its voice. Mr Smithers, who'd been out to blow for a goal, nearly swallowed his whistle. Then everyone started to shout at once. Darren Kelly yelped and threw himself backwards in the mud. Jason Best rushed up to Spider and pushed his finger into his chest. "You useless idiot, Spider," he said. "What were you thinking of?" "I was trying to do what you did," Spider said unhappily. "Sorry." "Sorry," said his captain fiercely. "You've just lost us the championship." He sent Spider off to the wing, where he knew he'd be out of the way. Chapter 6. The game was almost over. Standing out near the touchline all by himself, Spider was a pitiful sight. He was muddy from head to toe. His shirt hung out of his shorts. His socks drooped around his ankles. His black hair was a spiky mess, and he looked like he was about to burst into tears. Parkfield mounted one last attack. Zoe Cole ran to the penalty area and shot. The Stoneleigh goalkeeper pushed the ball around the post. "Corner kick," said Mr Smithers. He kicked the ball towards Spider. "Take it, Spider," called Darren Kelly. Spider stumbled over to the corner. But as he stepped back to take the kick, his mind wandered. And it wandered so far that his head felt empty. Mr Smithers blew the whistle. The crowd shouted, his teammates waved and shrieked. But Spider just looked as though he'd turned to stone. Then he caught sight of someone in the crowd. It was his mum. Her face was bright red and she was puffing. She waved to Spider. And in an instant, Spider's mind slid back into place. "Swing it in, Spider!" Jason Best screamed. Now, Spider remembered the afternoon before and that amazing banana kick. He saw in his mind the ball hitting the flower pot. With a spring, he ran forward and he kicked the ball with the top of his right foot. The ball soared across the pitch towards the Stoneleigh penalty area. The Parkfield crowd groaned as the ball went away from the Stoneleigh goal. But then it happened. The ball started to swerve. It curved back towards the Stoneleigh goal. The crowd roared. Too late. The Stoneleigh goalkeeper saw the danger, threw himself to his left. But the dipping ball passed his fingertips and flew into the net. Goal! Spider had scored. The Parkfield crowd went wild. No one heard Mr Smithers blow his whistle for the end of the match. Parkfield had equalised with the very last kick. It was a draw. And Parkfield, not Stoneleigh, were champions. The Parkfield players were over the moon. They jumped in the air. They shouted. They danced. They hugged each other. Then they lifted Spider up on their shoulders and carried him off the field. "Well done, Spider," said Mr Smithers. "Well done. I knew you could do it." Then he turned to Spider's mum. "That boy's got great potential, Mrs McDrew," he said. Spider's mum beamed. Then she planted a big kiss on Spider's muddy forehead. "I just got here on time," she said. "You are clever, Spider." Spider looked puzzled. Did we win then?" he asked. So it just goes to show, doesn't it, that sometimes a few kind words can really help. And if you ever see someone on their own in the playground or being left out of a game, perhaps you can remember this story and actually go and help them and ask them to join in your game, because that's what we do at Littleham. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Take care. Bye.